The new coronavirus variant is 50% more infectious. Here's what you need to do to protect yourself. Why should you care about the new COVID strain? And how is it different from the current COVID-19 strain? And more importantly, how do you protect yourself from this new variant? Today, I'm going to go over all of those questions and more. Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Jordan Wagner. I'm an ER doctor and I treat every medical issue and disease from COVID, gunshot wounds, broken arms, measles, car accidents, you name it. And every day in the emergency room, I get hundreds of questions from patients about all sorts of medical topics. That's why I've created this YouTube channel, to answer some of your medical questions and to keep you updated on the coronavirus pandemic as I battle it every day in the ER. Make sure you please subscribe to my YouTube channel to keep updated when I post new medical videos. New variants or mutated strains of coronavirus are continuing to emerge, and although it's not uncommon for viruses to mutate, one strain in particular has raised concern in the United States. That's why today we're going to go over key factors. 1, what makes this strain different from before, and let you in on some safety precautions that you should practice in order to avoid the new COVID-19 variant. Well, for starters, let's talk about why you should care about the new strain. Well, the new variant does not appear to cause more severe disease, which is a sign of hope, but it does have the potential to infect an estimated 50% more people. Hear that again.
50% more infectious.
Why is it more infectious? That's because the new variant spreading in the United States appears to latch onto our cells more efficiently, and it could actually take less of the virus and less time in the same room with an infected individual for someone to become ill with this new strain of COVID. Individuals infected with the variant may also shed larger quantities of the virus, which increases the risk to people around them. If you want more info on where this strain originated, check out this other video that I made. I'll also link it below at the end of this video. So, how can you protect yourself from the new coronavirus variant? There are a number of ways. First, by realizing this new strain spreads the same way the coronavirus has always spread, person to person, mainly through respiratory droplets produced when an infected person coughs, sneezes, or talks. It goes without saying that you're more likely to contract the virus if you spend time in an enclosed space breathing the air of an infected person. Another way to cut your risk? Easy. Get a vaccine, if you can. Getting the vaccine is ultimately the way to reduce risk. For instance, the Pfizer vaccine has a 95% efficacy rate after 2 doses, and the new Johnson & Johnson vaccine is showing 66% efficacy after just a single dose. Also, examine your daily activities. Until the vaccine is accessible to everybody, reduce your risk of infection by doing things like examining your day-to-day activities that you have going on. You might be surprised at the amount of exposure you're getting. For instance, ask yourself, what are some things you can cut back on in an effort to reduce the amount of time and number of exposures to other individuals? For example, if you find yourself going to the store 2 to 3 times a week, cut back to just once a week if you can. And how long are you spending at the grocery store? Let's say 30 minutes? Make a grocery list ahead of time and plan to cut that time in half if you can. Or, if the store is crowded, come back later or try delivery or curbside pickup. Most stores nowadays offer that option. It's also important to be mindful and respectful of the individuals around you. If you're waiting in line, ensure that you're staying at least 6 feet apart from the people ahead of you and behind you. Another protective measure against the respiratory virus? Upgrade your mask. You should be wearing a high-quality mask when you run errands, go shopping, or find yourself in a situation where you're spending time indoors with individuals who don't live under the same roof as you. I get a lot of people ask me what type of mask is best. You want to be wearing a face mask that is at least 3 layers, 2 cloth layers with a filter sandwich in between. There are many companies out there that make N95 equivalent masks and have proven studies. I personally like the Cambridge Mask Company, and they didn't pay me to say that. Also, I see a lot of you with some pretty interesting mask wearing techniques, if I dare call them that. Masks that aren't even covering your nose, or worse, worn around your chin. Masks should be fitted around the bridge of your nose and made of flexible material to help reduce gaps. If you're not going to cover your nose and your mouth with your mask, what's the point? There's a reason when you get tested for COVID that we do this with a nasal swab or a mouth swab. So keep that in mind when you're wearing your mask. Also, a lot of people ask me if they should be buying and wearing an N95 mask. The thing is, in general, N95 masks are harder than normal masks to obtain. For me, the hospital provides them because I'm working in the ER and I come into close contact with COVID sick patients every day. You can also wear an N95 if you're in a situation that requires you to be very close to infected COVID patients throughout the day. But keep in mind, you probably don't need that level of protection if you're just headed to run some errands and don't plan to be in close proximity to other people. On the other hand, if you're working in an office or a grocery store, or find yourself in a situation where you feel at a higher risk of exposure and would prefer added mask protection, you can always double up on your mask for extra protection if you don't have access to an N95. What else can you do to combat the new coronavirus strain? Immune system optimization is always one of the greatest defenses against fighting any virus. Things like getting enough sleep, staying hydrated, moderate exercise, taking vitamins, and eating a balanced diet of whole foods all can help boost your immune system's defenses. But if you want more information on that, please make sure you check out the video where I go into greater detail on this topic. I'll put a link to it in the description below and a link to it at the end of this video if you'd like extra tips on boosting your immune system. Another question I get a lot: am I safe or am I at lower risk from the new variants if I've already gotten and recovered from COVID-19? Once you've recovered from COVID-19, your body has some level of natural immunity to help fight off a second infection. Although that's a key issue that researchers are studying right now, it's not quite known yet how long the protection lasts. The coronavirus variants circulating in Brazil and South Africa appear to have mutations that allow the virus to evade natural antibodies and reinfect somebody who has already had the virus. Alright, so what about the COVID vaccines then? Will they work against the new variants? Experts are cautiously optimistic that the current generation of vaccines will be most effective against the emerging coronavirus variants. At the time I'm filming this, Pfizer and BioNTech announced that their COVID vaccine works against one of the key mutations present in some of the variants. This is because the variants we see are part of the spike protein, not the whole thing. A small piece of the info may change, but the majority is the same, which the vaccine still codes for. Therefore, you are protected. Some of the data suggests that the variants with certain mutations may be more resistant to the vaccines, but far more research is needed, and those variants haven't yet been detected in the United States. Although this data has sparked some concern, experts say and have shown via blood tests that the current vaccines generate extremely high levels of antibodies, and since the antibody numbers are high, virologists and immunologists are optimistic that it will prevent individuals from spreading the virus who've been vaccinated. And let's face it, after months of pandemic living, many of us are over it and have become lax about our COVID safety precautions and frustrated that the virus is still around. But with the arrival of the new COVID variant, it means you should try to cut back on potential exposures where you can and double down on basic precautions for the next few months until you and the people around you can get vaccinated. We're hopefully in the home stretch of this pandemic and can all come out of this on top if we all do our part in staying vigilant to protect ourselves and those we love around us. That's been a quick COVID mutation discussion with me, Dr. Wagner. What's one way you'll take precautions against the new mutation? Let me know in the comments. And any other medical questions that you'd like me to take a look at, please leave me a comment below. As always, make sure that you subscribe and turn that bell notification on. Thank you so much for watching, and stay healthy, my friends.